welcome to Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel, where I try to help you create a fruit jungle, much like I have in my yard. Today we're going to look at some interesting things. I hope you will subscribe, turn on notifications to be notified as we live stream, and I talk about all kinds of edible things that you could add to your backyard. Maybe you'll find out some new things that you're interested in. Today we're going to talk about, by viewer request, care for the mulberry. And I have two examples growing. One is a result of a recent live stream where I planted cuttings of both a Persian and a ever-bearing mulberry tree, and the fruits of which have really produced, literally. I'll show you what I mean. I have mulberries in every stage of growth in my backyard. Old growth, new growth, cuttings that have grown for a while. Now this is an example of one we just planted from a tree that we grew in a pot, a 1-gallon pot. And I purposefully, okay, so I live near the ocean, and the ocean breeze goes that way hard a lot. But we purposefully planted it this way to mimic the trees that are blown sideways by storms, but also to maximize the fruit potential, because the lower down the angle of this tree, which I'm going to plan to actually trellis onto this fence here, basically, but without any supports, and the tree will do that just fine. I'll trim it that way. You'll see this over the course of videos coming up, the trellising of the mulberry tree. And I may in fact even tie this down for it to run almost, parallel with the ground, and then just train up shoots or branches vertically. That's a great way to do it. You can trim it often. So it loves to be trimmed, and one of the first things I did after I planted it was I trimmed it way back. So I took all of these, you can see all of these cut ends out to stubs, and now you can see it's already starting to want to shoot out new growth. And these trees love to be pruned. So my first tip for growing the mulberry is trim it often and feed it often. Okay, so if you're going to trim it often, you need to feed it often so that it has something to grow back with. I always recommend fish emulsion as my top choice. However, you could use cow manure. That's another great choice, and I'm going to be using that today. That's a nice secret of care for the mulberry. You can just get a bag of cow manure and sprinkle some on it from time to time, and you'll be happy you did. I trimmed all of these back, and almost all of them, that was 2 days ago. No, 2 to 3 days ago. They've all shot out new growth. So it's ready to go. That's going to be a confident, good grower of mulberries. I'm sure of it. Now we have a couple of varieties growing over here on the grow table in the What You Got Growing On series. By the way, if you don't know about that, if you're subscribed, you'll get notified as these new ones come out. We grew a everbearing. I put 4 shoots in there, and then a Persian. I had 3 shoots, which I was graciously given by my neighbor. But this is the Persian. You can see the gigantic leaves, and it is just doing fantastic. And it recently, the 3rd shoot, I wasn't sure if it was going to shoot out, if it was going to grow or not. This 3rd shoot on the Persian shot out a bud and immediately set 4 gigantic mulberries right out of the shoot, just to give you an idea of the power. And look at this, these buds are breaking and ready to go again. These cuttings were poorly cared for by me, I will say, and they still survived, no problem. In fact, they look very strong to me. So I want to make sure that this is positioned to get the sunlight still. Good. And then this is the everbearing, where I put in 4 chances to win, 4 cuttings, and all 4 produced copious. Every joint, branch, connection point sprouted a beautiful cutting. Tree. Each one of those could be its own tree. So that was roughly 2 months of growth. These 2, month to 2 months of growth. And you're off and running with the mulberry tree if you can get access to a cutting. A friend, share the joy of gardening with them. Pass on cuttings to your friends. Let's spread mulberries to every corner of the earth. There are so many interesting varieties, not just these 2, but many others, including the Pakistani Mulberry, which is a very long mulberry. There are red, black mulberries that mulberry universe is wide, and it extends down to the southern reaches of the United States, where I am in Florida, and they grow quite well here. But you can see these two in our What You Got Growing On series. Which, if you're interested in how you grow all this kind of stuff, we grew it all in that series. You know, fig tree, yep. Sugarcane, you got it. So, mangoes. You know, Eat Your Backyard is all about that, trying to get you also interested in growing things. And you can grow a lot of it just on your own. Some of it you need to get online or get at the local nursery. By the way, there are links in the description to get most of the plants I talk about here. So go ahead and use those to get some of your own if you're into it. Start it. Send me a video, by the way, to the email in the About section of the channel. I would love to find out what you're growing. And I'm going to start making montages of my viewers' edible collections, and including them on the channel to inspire everybody. So there you go, the mulberry. Now let's continue on to what a mature mulberry looks like. Now this one needs to be trimmed, and once I trim it, it will burst forth. But this is one that's getting ready to fruit. Old boy, this one is a good 10 to 15 years old, and look, still producing. That's the ever-bearing mulberry. I've got them all throughout my yard. I've grown them over the years so prolifically that you know, I'll never not have one. Even this time of year, there is a mulberry or two to be had. I like them when they're actually like that. You can see there's more that are on there that are like that. So even this time of the year, that's why they call it the ever-bearing mulberry. Even when it's scraggly like this, you're getting plenty of mulberries. And as you go throughout the tree, it doesn't take you long to realize you are going to get plenty of mulberries. So that's the more mature tree. And I'll show you one other spot where I planted them and they've been growing for a while up against the fence, and I just kind of hacked them down and forget about them. But I grow them just as a windbreak here. Put some cuttings in, and you can see the beautiful bark of the mulberry, very distinctive, very healthy tree right here. But it's getting destroyed by the salt winds which come in constantly, and it looks like they got a little bug damage to it. I don't care, because that's the barrier to the salt breeze, which never ending tries to penetrate my yard and kill everything. And if I want to have sweet, sweet, delicate banana plants right here, I've got to have a sacrificial barrier. And that's what I've got here with these Dracaena that go down the length of my eastern side of my property, is purely to block the toxic effect of never-ending salt on top of leaves and so on. But it does a pretty good job if you just create a layer to absorb it. Nature does its thing. Okay, so thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard. Now you know a little bit more about mulberry growth, but I want to end this with one more masterclass tip. Getting ready to do a live stream over here. By the way, if you I set up the canopy since it's been raining on and off, and I don't want to actually get my laptop into the rain if possible. If you're not aware, we do live streams a lot, and today we're going to plant a bunch of things that were given to me by Indian River Yards that are super cool seeds. But you can join in, and then you can ask questions and participate and give input, feedback, all that good stuff. It's a lot of fun. All right, so here is the masterclass tip that you need to know. First thing you need to get is a shovel, because what we're going to be dealing with is this black cow manure and compost. That's the good stuff. It could be probably any brand, but this is just the one available by me. And you look at what the nutrients are going to do. Nice small amount, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Very, very powerful nutrient, but at a slow rate released. So that's what I use, and I'm going to feed my mulberry trees with that. And the method I use is not complicated. I just use one of my kids' old beach shovels, of which we have had many. Perfect, I find, garden implement for jobs like this. I recommend everybody have one. Yeah, that'll do. So I'll just take a little shovel full. And really, and here's the old mulberry tree. See what I do here? Just sprinkling it around. This is where I do my buffer. Just sprinkling it. Just sprinkling the cow manure all over the herbs. Which turns into delicious berries. So, I'm going to readjust this bag just slightly. Now I'll go around and bead, what is it, Johnny Appleseed? Johnny Cow Manure Seed. Yep. By the way, all of you folks on the internet, feel free to use the phrase Johnny Cow Manure Seed, hashtag Johnny Cow Manure Seed, to represent evolutions beyond systems which do not serve us. Here we go. This system serves us. Right? I mean, we're just pouring little nutrients so that this tree has a little something to grow with. And you can see that was 2 little shovelfuls just sprinkled around on top. It's rainy now, that's why I've got this canopy up over there. So it'll be watered in over the course of the day. But I'm also going to hit it with that hose right there. So I'll be planting more things today, and I will definitely have that hose back on. But when I do, I'll water this in just gently, not like turbo, because I don't want it to wash away in a river. Just lightly. I kind of pinch the hose, and then I just drip it on there. If you've seen my videos, you know what I mean, how I do that. Just lightly to water it in, get it soaked into the soil, and then the nice slow precipitation from the natural rain will help water it in the rest of the way. That way the plant gets all the nutrients, and it doesn't get, like, flow into the adjoining estuaries and beautiful aquatic realms which surround me. So I want to be cool with that. I like that a lot. I like it to be clean. I don't want to hit it hard. But this is a nice natural way to give it a little food. Now, I think I'll go ahead and also, even though I gave it just a bit already, I'm feeling that Johnny Cow Manure Seed fever sweeping me into a crazed mission to apply delicious black cow manure onto everything. And why do I get that way? Well, because if you look at this soil situation, what I've got in my yard is beach sand. So any of this black stuff you see, well, that's, you know, the result of organic matter accumulating because of things I planted around. Alright, so there you go. Just a little bit. Spread the love. You see, I've developed a little, I just put a little berm along the edge of here. Just to, it's like, you know, building a sandcastle is all. A little berm just to keep the water from flowing out, because I really want it to be able to get enough water this time. This can get pretty dry, even though I do have a sprinkler system there next to our Halloween decoration, which is extremely scary. It's interesting, you see the color of that is that staining. That was a white painted piece of brick, and the minerals in my sprinkler water, which are a lot of sulfur and a lot of minerals, stained it to that color. It's never ending. Yep, so now we fed the small mulberry, we looked at the cuttings, we looked at what a mature plant looks like, looked at what one looks like kind of in between, and even used as a sacrificial lamb. Interesting things about mulberries include that there is a place in Florida, I am told, I am assured, which uses mulberries to feed elephants, an elephant reserve. If you know what I'm talking about, please leave it in the comments. What's going on with the elephant reserve and the mulberries? I'm also told you can make mulberry tea out of mulberries, that the leaves are edible. Of course, the fruit is edible. So, very rapid grower. What do they use the leaves for? Well, they use them almost like an herbaceous crop to feed silkworms to make silk. Well, that's what silkworms eat, mulberries. So, very useful, very important crop in the scheme of things in the world. and you can get it going in your backyard. I recommend you do, just certainly because it fills in most of the gaps I would want to fill in. If you get an ever-bearing variety, you will have fruit through most of the year, and that's what I love. I've got several things that'll do that. The mulberry is one of them, and once we're over in mulberry corner of the yard, we always look at the star fruit and the lemons and other things that are currently going on, but they're not always on, but the mulberry is always on. Okay, well, thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard. Hope you learned a little bit about caring for a mulberry. Maybe you'll tell us a little bit about your experience with mulberries in the comments. Maybe you'll join the live stream. Hope you give me a like, a thumbs up if you liked it, if you found it fun, helpful, or whatevs. There you go. Cavendish dwarf bananas. We're going to do a video about that in no time. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard.